Hello YouTube! I've got a special guest with me today.
I'm Andrea. I am also a fellow expat in Paris right now. I'm from the US, from the Midwest, and I talk about expat culture, writing, creativity, things like that on my channel.
Andrea and I have actually just filmed another video where I tested her on Kiwi slang. So I don't know if you guys have seen my videos on New Zealand slang, but basically I picked a few of the more difficult ones and put her to the test, so you can go and see how she did in her video on her channel, which will of course be down below. And I'm gonna put her to the challenge today. We've got an accent challenge to do where basically we want to compare our accents and read out a list of words together and listen to the differences in the way we pronounce them and try and figure out why. I know it's really hard because in the US there are so many different regional accents, but you've got quite a neutral accent, don't you?
Yeah, I come from sort of the St. Louis area, and I think we generally have a very, what you would call a standard American accent.
Yeah.
So we don't sound like we're from anywhere.
So she's my standard copy American and I am the standard New Zealander. Let's go through the list and see who says what and how. So, word number one. Do you want to go first?
Sure. So I would say aunt.
Aunt.
I wouldn't be shocked to hear aunt. I feel like some people call their, if you're actually talking about their name, like Aunt Mary, you'd say aunt.
Like a little British hangover. I feel like Aunt Mary. Alright, so the second one.
I would say envelope.
Envelope.
Yeah, see, envelope makes logical sense with English pronunciation, but I think because this was a French word, I think on is sort of trying for the en sound in French.
True.
Somehow, I don't know why we would, but I say envelope. So the next one, I have heard people pronounce it differently, but I would say route generally.
Me too.
I've heard route a lot.
Yeah. I think on certain GPSs maybe, they're like rerouting.
Yeah.
And things.
Reroute.
Yeah, actually,
verb.
Yeah. Reroute also. Interesting.
That's very strange.
Gosh, this melting pot of English. It's the thing, like, if you think about it, the accents between like New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, Canada, like, I mean, it's crazy how many English accents there are around.
And when there's crossover and when there's not, like how the language has evolved differently.
I know, and then like, because the UK is the motherland, you know, but then just next door you've got the Irish and you're like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
So I would say this, theatre.
Theatre.
Theatre. We shorten everything, so it's like very lazy, so it's like theatre. Like almost like it's an A at the end. Whereas I hear you saying
That's the American accent.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
The next word I would say caught.
Same chord.
Oh.
Not same but different.
The next one I would say salmon.
Salmon.
Okay, so you don't pronounce the L.
No.
Occasionally I've heard people pronounce the L.
Salmon. Like really
salmon.
Yeah, salmon. Like really draw it out. We're just like salmon.
Yeah, salmon. Okay, the next one.
Oh, this is controversial.
Yes. I would say caramel until I moved to the UK, and one of my good friends was with me, and I was at Starbucks and I ordered a caramel latte.
A what?
And I asked for a caramel latte.
Caramel.
And he lost it in the nicest way. He was my friend, so he was allowed to laugh at me, but I was like, what's going on? He's like, you just pronounced caramel like caramel.
I feel like, yeah, do you have one in your mouth right now?
Yeah.
Is that why you were saying caramel?
So I now say caramel when I'm anywhere but the US, but caramel is how I normally would say.
Okay, and we'd just say caramel. Again, mill rather than mel. Like, we've got a thing definitely with our vowels. Like our E's become I's almost, so it's like caramel. Yeah.
Yeah, the vowels in New Zealand are very different from pretty much any other accent.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
No, it's super cool actually. Okay, this one is another, like, it's disputed where I come from, but I would say coupon.
I would also say coupon. How else could you possibly say it?
Coupon.
Oh.
I hear a lot of people in the Midwest, I think, say coupon. The next one is another one that's, at least in the US, it's very disputed, but I say pecan.
Oh, I say pecan.
Pecan is what a lot of also where you come from in the US, but that was one that for some reason growing up it drove me crazy when I heard it because I only heard it from a few select friends. Yeah. So I just have pecan.
So pecan.
Yeah.
That's funny. For me that sounds super snobby. Like
it does sound a bit more like
pecan.
A bit more posh maybe.
Yeah.
After that, again.
Again.
Okay, no agains.
No agains up in here.
Lawyer.
Lawyer.
Okay. That to me sounds very English.
Okay.
Then lawyer sounds so American to me.
Lawyer.
I'm pretty sure lawyer is just North American and
interesting.
Or lawyer is North American.
Wait, what did I say?
Everything.
Lawyer.
You said lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one, water.
Water.
Yeah.
Wait, did you say the tea?
No.
No.
Water. I mean, I
Like,
pronounce it,
you're like-
but I don't like.
It's like almost a D, it's like water. Like it's very soft, whereas we're like water. Would you like a glass of water?
Yeah.
That's
The American tea in those situations, although it's often in Australia and in New Zealand, it's pretty much everything except your classical British.
Yeah.
But the T becomes more like a D, but it is a different sound. I've had so many people say it's a D. It's not. It's kind of like a tongue flick.
Okay.
That sounds like a D.
Okay.
But it's not quite the same. Naturally.
Naturally.
That's like identical, I think.
Ooh, we found a soulmate word. Oh,
Okay.
this one.
This one we pronounce and spell differently.
Oh.
It's aluminum.
Okay, for us it's aluminium.
See, a lot of people have said this one's pronounced it weirdly in North America. I actually don't know which one Canada says, but we don't have that last I in there. We say aluminum.
How interesting.
Without the I.
Okay.
The next one.
This one I added to the list especially because I know it's a thing.
Okay, milk.
Milk.
Say it again.
Milk.
Milk.
Yeah, it's like it's got a W in there. Milk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. See, I thought the New Zealand twang would be on the I sound because the vowels are usually different.
Yeah.
But that's completely
this one,
different.
Yeah, this one's really random. I don't.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So there's just the R. My Americanness is coming through strong. All right, so now we have some sentences.
Yeah, I chose these sentences because I knew that they may highlight again a bit of the accent. If you can figure out the rule of the New Zealand accent, please let us know down below because maybe you're a linguistic expert and you can explain it away.
I really need to paint my deck.
I really need to paint my deck.
The vowels completely
It's really awkward when you're saying to people like, yeah, I'm just gonna go sit on the deck. Like people are like, oh, you do that then.
I write with a red pen, a blue pen, and a black pen.
I write with a red pen, a blue pen, and a black pen.
Yeah, it sounds so much like an I, which is funny because, at least in the US, a lot of people will mix up the words pen and pin, and they'll say pin for pen, but they actually are thinking an I. But it's actually a common mistake.
And we just
in our
like
case.
collectively kept
Yeah.
making that
It's just the
mistake
way it's-
over and
yeah.
over.
I think school is really cool.
I think school is really cool.
Okay, the double O is definitely a bit different there.
Yeah. This is for me when you hear an Australian, it's like school, cool. Like it's got that real drawl in it. Like,
Yeah, okay, but then we really need to go to bed.
yeah, okay, but then we really need to go to bed.
Yeah, vegan. I love it.
Cool guys, so that's it. So again, if you have figured out the secret to the New Zealand accent and you can explain it to us, please let me know down below. There's something weird going on. It must have been that 6-month voyage all the way across the seas that made people a little bit loopy, but thank you so much for watching. And if you want more content on language learning, French, Kiwi, slang, culture, that kind of stuff, please think about subscribing, and otherwise give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday. See you next time. A bientôt!
Bye.